Whenever I think about watch brands that are affordable, unique, and well made, there's a couple that come to mind. And one of those watch brands is always Phoibos. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. And I'm talking about Phoibos because I think it is one of the better, affordable, well-made, and unique watch brands out there. And I'm not saying that because this is a sponsored video, and it is a sponsored video, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I'm talking about Phoibos in this manner because I've owned a few of their watches before, and I paid for those watches out of my own money, and I really like them. So much so that I've told a lot of people around me in my own life that they should consider Phoibos watches because they are well made, they are unique, and they are affordable. So when Phoibos did reach out to me about this new Eagle Ray GMT Quartz watch and said, hey, would you like one on your channel to review? I said, yes, please. That would be fantastic. I like your watches and I'd like to see another one. And that is why you would have seen that sponsored icon pop up. This one has been supplied to me. But I am going to be rather positive about this watch. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it is a sponsored video. It is because I really like it. I really like all those things that I've just spoken about. And I like, in particular, this particular watch because of how unique the design is. But if you want to pick one of these watches up, well, I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video below, and it is $240 US. And I do want to talk about that price a little bit more, but I'm going to do that at the end of the video. For now, let's flip the camera and let's check out my new Phoibos Eagle Ray Quartz GMT. So this Phoibos Eagle Ray has a lot to offer on paper. It has a Swiss Ronda 515 GMT movement, double dome sapphire crystal, 300 meters of water resistance, but it only comes with 1 year of warranty. So that is definitely sort of worth noting if you're going to be buying one of these watches. At this sort of price though, I guess that's sort of okay, but I would always like to see sort of 2 years worth of warranty. But I think if you are considering buying one of these Phoibos watches, you are buying it for the design because it is a very cool, unique and different design. I obviously chose the orange version. I quite like orange watches and I think it works well with this design. But if you don't like the orange one, you can get it in white and red, black with those sort of gilt hands, and a blue. But no matter which one you get, they all come in the same dimensions. This particular one, the case is 41.1 millimeters. The width of the watch is 12 millimeters. The lug to lug is 46.9 millimeters. Lug width is 20 millimeters. And on this rubber strap that it comes with, it is 84 grams. Now I think those dimensions work really well with this watch because you wouldn't want it to be much smaller because there is a lot going on that dial. There is lots of details, and if it was smaller, it'd probably end up being a little bit squished. Now the orange, it's not a sunburst, but it is a fading sort of out towards the outer edge of the bezel there, out to a dark and orange and a black. On the dial there's some printing, including the octopus, 300 meters of GMT, and that railway around the outside. That's almost like a silver sort of look to it, which then matches in really quite nicely with the applied indices there, which are polished silver with lots of lume inside of it. The hands are really quite cool. They are polished silver as well. A little bit of red on the GMT tip there, which then matches quite nicely with a little bit of red on that internal rotating bezel. But the hands are these sort of long square hands with little needle tips, which does give a unique design to this one because I don't see that on many other watches. Underneath the minute hand there, we have the date window there at the 3 o'clock. Not color matched, but I think it looks okay. And it does have a polished surround, which then matches in with the rest of the things that are on the dial. Talking about those loomed hands and loomed indices, the lume's actually pretty good on this one. I'm pretty impressed with it, and it's nice to have some lume on that GMT hand as well. Being a quartz watch, something that we are quite often looking forward to is to see whether it actually hits the markers. And I'm hopefully got the right angle here because I've been paying attention to this one, and it does seem to hit all the markers perfectly. So that's good to have that Swiss Ronda quartz movement actually hitting those sort of markers there, those minute markers on that railway track. Now this is a compressor style watch. Really all that means for this particular one is that it has 2 crowns and an internal rotating bezel. The crown at the top here is a screw down crown, which helps with that 300 meters of water resistance, but it also has a really nice action to it because it has a little click, click, click sort of feel to it. It won't make any noise, but you can feel it when you are moving that bezel around. And having that GMT style sort of 2 around to 24 again, that gives you another ability to have a different time zone as well, other than just setting that sort of traveler's style GMT hand. So of course that means the other crown here is there to set the time. Being a traveler's GMT, that means when you do pull it all the way out, it actually is sort of slaved to the hands there, and push it into the first position, you can affect the date and then move that GMT hand. Now you will notice when you pull it out to the full position, it also hacks the movement. All right, so that's all covered by a double domed sapphire crystal, and I'm pretty sure there's some AR coating there, because even when I put the studio lights on there, you can certainly see straight through that crystal, which is nice. The bezel itself is quite interesting, it has sort of an interesting sort of almost vintage sort of coin edge style to it. Obviously you can't turn that, it is solid and it is all polished. It's a little bit interesting because the rest of the case is all bead blasted. The tops of those lugs, the sides of the case, bead blasted. And then those little crowns, they are sort of polished there. The knurling on them is really good, really easy to grab onto, but they are a little bit small. They feel a little bit small in hand. Being a quartz watch, that probably means it doesn't matter as much because you're not going to be utilizing it as often, but it is worth noting. The back of the watch is all polished, which means it does attract a few scratches. You'll see a little scratch there through the Phoibos logo already, which is a little bit of a shame, but you've got all the sort of bits and pieces there showing you with the GMT functionality in the world time there. So being a GMT watch, it is nice to then have that linked to the rest of the watch there. Has one of these nice sort of tropic style rubber straps. It's a nice strap. I'm not a huge rubber strap person, so I don't end up sort of overly enjoying the experience of wearing rubber. However, if I'm going to wear a rubber strap, it's nice to have a good one, and this is definitely a good one. Quick release spring bars, nice hardware, sort of that bead blasted sort of texture as well, so it does then link in well with the case. Now, it's definitely a comfortable watch to wear. I think that's partly to do with that strap. You know, rubber straps do tend to be comfortable, even though they may not be my favorite style of straps. They definitely are comfortable straps. And it's also got to do with the case shape, how thick it is, and the overall weight of this one. So what do I like about this watch? What don't I like about it? And what would I change? Well, the first thing that really stands out to me and what I like about it most is the unique design. I think it's funky, it's interesting, but it's not too much that it's sort of too in your face. I think it's just really cool. I also like this particular color. I think orange is nice on a watch anyway, but in this particular variation, this version where it's a little bit subtle, I quite like it. And just like the other two Phoibos watches that I've owned, watches that I've bought for myself, the quality is obvious. They are really well-made watches. But there are three things that I probably don't like about it. But all three of them are probably my own personal taste, so they're not really anything specifically against this watch. Firstly, it's a quartz watch. And there is nothing wrong with quartz watches, but for me, I've struggled to connect with them. So that's my own issue, I guess. I am working on that. Secondly, the crowns feel a tiny bit small. Again, linking in with that quartz sort of idea of a movement means you're not going to be utilizing the crown as much, so it's more probably of a visual thing. They don't look silly, they don't look stupid, but they feel just a little bit small. And as I mentioned, rubber straps are not my favorite, but I have to admit this one has been very comfortable. So what would I change then? Well, of course, those things I probably would change. It would probably then change the cost of this watch, I have to say. But there's really only one thing that I'd actually really change, and that is the case. It's all this bead blasted style. I personally think brushed with that sort of chamfer edge that's polished and brushed on the top would probably make this watch look a little bit better. It doesn't look bad as it is. I think it's perfectly fine. But if I was going to change something, that's what I would change. But I want to talk about the price of this one just a little bit more. So let's flip back to me and let's talk price. So $240 US, I'm not going to say is super affordable, but it is certainly in this small sort of budget range of watches. And when I saw that price of this watch after this watch had been offered to me, I thought that's actually not a bad price. And I thought that because of my previous experiences with this brand, I knew that it was going to be well made, and obviously looking at the pictures of it, I knew that it was unique. However, being quartz made me question it a little bit. So it wasn't until I got it in hand and that it absolutely met my expectations of being really well made and certainly very unique that I started to think, yes, I think that price is okay. I'm not a particular quartz enthusiast. I have nothing against quartz watches, but it takes something a little bit special to get a quartz over the line for me. This one has sort of done that for me. It has done it because it is well made and unique. But quartz is a hard one for me to reconcile with, especially at this price range when you then start comparing it against other watches. Because at this same sort of price, you can probably buy a Seiko 5 automatic watch. And certainly if you go to Aliexpress like San Martin, you can get some really well-made watches from them for that same price range. So when you are considering this watch over other watches, there are some competitors that are worth considering. However, if you want a watch that is so unique and so different, then I don't think you're going to be able to find one that matches the Phoibos. Because as much as I love Seiko, as much as I love some of those AliExpress watches, none of them seem to look like this. None of them have this unique flavor to them that this one offers. Of course, this is going to be a slightly polarizing design because there's going to be people out there that really dislike it, and that's understandable because it is a unique design. It is a very different design, but I rather like it. And if you like it, well, there is that link in the description if you want to check them out yourself. And if you like this video, well, maybe you'd like to watch these ones next.